Bright Tuty. Every student matters.
Now let's look at the first question. Name the master gland which is responsible for secretion of estrogen and testosterone hormone. So the master gland which is responsible for the secretion is the pituitary gland. It releases many hormones, and out of which one hormone in the female acts upon the ovary and causes the release of estrogen, whereas the other type releases hormone in the male which causes the beginning of the formation of testosterone hormone. What do you mean by the target site? So target site is the organ on which the hormones act, right? So that is called as the target site. That means it is the organ which on which the hormones after being released they reach, and this target site responds to the hormone that they that has that causes the changes in the target site. The onset of puberty is controlled by hormones. Justify this statement. So the onset of puberty begins at the age of 11 and 12. Puberty, first of all, the very first hormone which starts acting at that age is pituitary hormone, pituitary gland, which releases certain hormones, and this pituitary gland, the hormones of the pituitary gland acts upon testis and ovary, right? And then what happens is the testis and ovary release female and male sex hormones, that is the testosterone, sterone, and estrogen in the case of females. Both of these hormones further causes the formation of secondary sexual character. Now, over here, secondary sexual characters are formed in the case of male as well as in the case of female. But this doesn't end over here. That means the hormones that are released by the pituitary gland also act upon the ovary and testis itself, which causes the release of ova, and in the case of testis it causes the release of sperm, right? So two functions are happening simultaneously. One is the maturation and release of ova, and production and release of sperm. On the same side, on the same time, testosterone begins to be released from testis, and from the ovary, estrogen releases, causing the formation of secondary sexual character. So whatever is happening at the puberty is all under the control of hormone, which are either released by pituitary gland or they are released by testis and ovary, right? So in the whole process, you see the important role is played by the hormone, right? What are sex hormones? Why are they named so? State their functions. So the sex hormones are the hormones which, if we name both the hormones in males, we see these are testosterone. The hormone is testosterone, and in the female, the hormone is estrogen. Uh, these are named so because they have, first of all, they have the influence of on the secondary sexual characters, right? And the function, secondary sexual characters, right? The function is to develop these characters, right? Development, right? So whatever changes occur at the time of puberty, whatever secondary sexual characters are being developed in the male as well as in the female are influenced by these sex hormones, right? The only function of these hormones is the development of secondary sexual characters, and that's why these are named as the sex hormones. So in this way, we see how the hormones are playing an important role in determining the secondary sexual characters, and all the reproductive functions are being controlled, or rather are under the control of these hormones that are either released by pituitary gland or they are released by testis and ovary. What is menstruation? Explain. So menstruation is the process where a bleeding occurs. Now, what exactly happens in this case is when the fertilization does not occur, and the egg and the uterine wall, egg and the uterine wall, along with the blood vessels, along with the blood vessels, are shed off in the form of bleeding. This process is called as menstruation. It occurs in the case of women, that is females, right? So if and this menstruation occurs if egg is not fertilized, right? When the is not fertilized, in that case the egg along with the blood vessels and the uterine walls are shed off, right? If fertilization occurs, then the pregnancy takes place and the embryo gets embedded in the uterine wall and the development of the baby takes place. Reproductive age in women starts when their menstruation starts, breast starts developing, body weight increases, height increases. So the reproductive age in women starts with the beginning of the menstruation. In human females, each time during maturation and release of egg, the inner wall of uterine thickens. Is this thickening permanent? Give reason. So this thickening is not permanent because this thickening is only in the anticipation of pregnancy. It only happens so that if the fertilization takes place, the uterus is developed and the uterus is prepared to receive the developing embryo. If the fertilization or the does not take place, in that case the uterus starts to break, and the blood vessels also break, and the menstruation begins, right? So the thickening is not permanent. Define menarche. So menarche is the beginning of the reproductive phase in human females. It usually happens at the age of 10 to 12 years and is marked by the beginning of menstruation. Define menopause. So menopause is the ending of the reproductive phase in females. It happens at the age of 45 to 50 years and is marked by the end in menstruation. So in this way, students, we talked about the reproduction phase in human beings. We saw how different it is in the case of male as well as in the case of female. I hope you were able to understand the whole phase completely and properly. The belief that the mother is completely responsible for the sex of the child is wrong because the child gets sex chromosome only from the mother, develops in the body of the mother, gets one sex chromosome from mother and other from the father, gets sex chromosome only from the father. So it actually gets one sex chromosome from the mother and other from the father, and it is the chromosome of the father that determines the sex of the child. Structures present in a cell which is responsible for determination of sex of the baby is cytoplasm, cell membrane, nucleus or chromosome. So the answer to this question is chromosome, and specifically sex chromosomes are the ones which determine the sex of a baby. What is the location of chromosome in a cell? So chromosome are located in the nucleus of the cell. How many pairs in human chromosome are known as sex chromosome? So one pair of human chromosomes are called as the sex chromosomes, and these are the ones which will determine the sex of the baby. Name two sex chromosomes. So there are two types of sex chromosome. One is X and other is the Y chromosome. And this variety, that is the XY chromosomes, are seen only in the male, whereas in the female, the chromosomes are XX. So in this way, students, we studied about the sex determination in human beings. We saw how the father is responsible for the determination of sex in human beings. Thank you.